Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Okay, so it's called climate doomism, and there's an old stately building. My architecture's crappy. It looks like it's in Germany because it's a German flag. So. And then two people are walking. It looks like it's probably early summer or midsummer. They're holding hands. It's very sweet. It's twilight-ish or nightfall. And the light's beautiful. Behind the building's lit. And what really makes the image, which I get to last, is in the foreground, it says carbon clock. And it's been an erected sort of display thing. And it says German CO2 budget left to blah, 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 reach, and then global CO2, and then these impossible numbers, like 2 billion, 35 trillion, bazillion, I don't know, just impossible numbers. Why don't you make sense for what I'm looking at?
Yeah, and I'm so glad we're ending with this image as well, because it's more of a positive, hopefully, conversation. So in the image, it's one of many that shows just how large the problem is that we're facing when it comes to climate change, when it comes to saving the planet. And like I said a second ago, when you're faced with these massive numbers, with these massive tasks that are ahead of us, most people just say, forget it. Like that's no. It's too big. What am I supposed to do?
Can't keep in your head.
And if it's all sort of, if that's how things are going, and if that's where we're headed anyways, we'll just, ride the wave until we get there. Like, just live the best life you can if we're going to hell in a handbasket. The message that I really want to get out to everybody is one of anti-climate doomism. You see a lot of climate doomism, a lot of people just giving up, a lot of messages as well, and what a lot of folks in the sustainability space that do more of the communications research, they found out that this push into doomism in social media in particular is being funded by these big lobby groups again. So it's the next evolution of that greenwashing in a much more subtle way. So fake stats that are getting pushed out, things that are saying, encouraging people to just say, forget it in much more subtle ways, is something that's been happening a lot in social media, and it's a terrible space to be in. So I just want to really encourage people, and not to sound sort of Pollyanna-ish, but there's lots to be hopeful for. There's a lot more to be hopeful for than there is to be scared of. If you want to make a change, make a change. If you want to be more sustainable, find out how to do it and get stuck in and get it done. Don't sit back on your couch and just think somebody else is going to do it for you. I hate using the Gandhi quote about being the change you want to see in the world, because I don't necessarily believe in that. I think it's going to take a lot more than individual action to make change. I think it's more community led, and we need to collaborate with each other. But at the end of the day, don't let all of these oh my god things scare you into a corner and stop you from being that change that you want to be.
For sure. And okay, as you're saying this, I'm looking at the image a little closer. It says time left to save the planet. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? There's a countdown? Like, well, how is that helpful? And okay. So the whole point of the podcast is, if we only have one life, how do we make every second count? And I mean, really, this feeling of being overwhelmed and disempowered, I mean, is real. Like, it's kind of like, when you're facing a problem that's so huge, like, maybe you can answer this. What is a percentage of people who will throw up their hands in like fear or disempowered, like being overwhelmed, with that little percentage that is entrepreneurial and that's going to solve the situation, is going to face the situation? Like you, I'm going to go to Shanghai. Like, I'm going to go to the juice of the garbage to get involved. Like, how would you describe that population?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple different segments, certainly. So there's the ones that will just never do anything because they just don't care. Right. Luckily, obviously there's no statistics on this, but I feel that that's quite a small population. Then there are those that are actively working against what we're trying to do. That's even a smaller population, and hopefully it continues to become smaller and smaller. But then you have those people that want to do something, that don't know how or they don't know how to begin. And I think they're the most susceptible to this climate doomism message where, okay, I want to do something, I don't know what to do, but all these things are coming at me, so just forget it. And it's the same in a consumer world, right? You have those non-adopting sort of segments that are there with consumers, and it's the same with us. We need to really encourage that group and show them how they can get involved. And I think the way to do that is to make it relatable. So if we go back to that first image, making being an activist or getting involved or being more sustainable relate to their life much more in a way that doesn't paint them as some Looney Tune that's going to, toss tomato soup on a Van Gogh, right? Nobody relates to that. They want to make it... Unless that's their thing. And I think with that segment, they're the activist segment, so they would already be involved. They'd be heavily involved. And doomism is not going to stop them from doing what they want, and that's amazing. I really love that. And then you have the folks sort of like myself, right, who are involved, or yourself who are involved, that we kind of... in a lot of ways operate sort of behind the scenes and, the sort of the great Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, making sure the machinations are all happening. Those are the biggest segments, I think, when it comes to the sustainability world, I suppose, and then who's going to do what. But I think by and large, the majority of people really do want to get involved. They want to find a way to get involved. And what I always tell people is it's amazing to get involved. You should absolutely do it, but to definitely remember one thing, that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Pick what you want to do, pick your little piece of the pie and work at it. I think as altruists, we really want to do everything. We want to help the homeless person on the street. We want to, adopt that puppy. We want to go read to elderly people. And there's only so much of us to go around. But I think the encouraging part is there are so many of us to get this work done that we don't need to operate in a silo. Somebody will help the homeless person. Somebody will adopt that puppy. If you want to contribute in other ways, go for it and don't let anybody dissuade you from doing it.
Beautiful. Is there something that a listener can go check out that you're connected with specifically? If they're like, oh, dude, John Pabon, I love how he speaks, wants to get involved. Are you doing something more community focused that they could join, or you can suggest?
Nothing at this stage, so they can certainly check out my website, which is johnpabon.com. I do quite a bit of writing, so I do have a book that's out called Sustainability for the Rest of Us.
Wait, stop. No. You don't bring out your book at the end. No, maybe it is like call to action. Okay, what's the name of the book?
Sustainability for the Rest of Us, your no bullshit 5-point plan for saving the planet. And in that,
available on Amazon.
It's available on Amazon, on every sort of big retailer online. So definitely check that out. You can link to it from my website. So there's links out to all the places you can buy it. But it's a
in the show notes.
That's in the show notes. It's a practical guide for how to, as an individual, as that segment who doesn't know what to do, to really get out there and do stuff. So I talk a lot about my professional experience. It's been called really a no-nonsense sort of approach. So I don't talk to people as if I'm a McKinsey person. I talk like we're talking right now, right? So it's a very approachable sort of book. And I also have a book coming out in early 2023, all about greenwashing. So all about that sort of second image that we discussed, and the ways to watch it, the ways to avoid it, and sort of what we're supposed to do with it, and hopefully stop it at some stage. So that's how I'm spending my time, and that's my little piece of the universe that I've carved out, is getting my thoughts down on paper.
John, fantastic. Okay, how old is the book?
So this was out in late 2020. Yep, God, it's already been 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, respect. Because in a way, I know books and book publishing, all this stuff. So how did its publication surprise you? Because you can never anticipate what's going to happen.
The marketing side of it really surprised me. And I do have, sort of that communications mindset, definitely. But I thought, okay, I'm done with the book, put the end at the end of it, published it, and that would be it. And it's not. That's just where the work starts.
Yes.
Like it's a marathon race. And I think even towards the end of writing it, I remember I was in COVID quarantine in Korea when I was finishing the book. And all I could think about was just get this thing done. I'm tired of writing it. I'm tired of dealing with it. I'm tired of looking at it. And I thought, okay, well, that would be it. But then you have to actually sell the thing. And that was the part that surprised me the most, is getting it out into the world.
Well, writing a book is like making a baby. And then when you publish it, it's born. But like a human being, you actually have to nurture it into a being. And in the same way, like, do you have any advice for somebody who's going to write?
I have a very, I don't know if it's unique, but I have a process that certainly works for me. And I think it's the kind of the part that scares people and gets them not to write, is getting things down on paper and worried it's not going to be perfect. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just get it down. You know, there are experts out there that will make it perfect for you. If you have thoughts, if you have ideas, just start writing and start pumping stuff out. And definitely don't self-critique, don't edit, don't do any of that. Just get things down on paper and worry about the perfection much later on. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give to people.
I agree with you 100%. Okay, John, this is, you're speaking my language. This has been, so good. And my head's still reeling about this time left to save the planet. I'm like, what?
Don't fall for the climate doomism. Don't.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
So I mean, things are going to change. Certainly, it's not going to be the world in 5 years. It's not going to be the world that our parents knew. We know that. It's called climate change, not climate equals the end of the world.
It's called life.
That's right.
I mean, like the world. That's what happens.
That's it. We'll have to adapt. I mean, you're not going to have your timeshare in Florida probably in 30 years, but we adapt and we move on. And as long as we're smart about it and we continue to move in the right direction, what else are we supposed to do?
Yeah. What else are we supposed to do? John, thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw.